Hello everyone and welcome. Today I want to take you on a wonderful journey. Our adventure will stretch far, far away, beyond the tallest buildings, past the highest clouds, even past the sparkling stars you see from your window at night. This is the story of a very special message shouted into the widest universe you can imagine. It's called Yoo-hoo. In the wide universe. So make yourself cozy. You can close your eyes if you wish. Let's begin. There once was a girl named Mia who lived on the edge of a small town. Her home was at the very last road before the fields began and the world felt huge and open. Mia was curious about everything. She especially loved sitting by her bedroom window at night, wrapped in her favorite blue blanket, gazing up at the sky. The stars twinkled like tiny lanterns and the moon looked close enough to whisper to. Sometimes, when she wanted to feel even closer, she would press her nose to the glass and imagine floating away, away, up and up, until the world grew small beneath her. Mia wondered about space all the time. What was up there, really? Were there hidden worlds, or was space empty? Did someone else, maybe miles and galaxies away, look up at our sun and wonder about her, too? Mia asked her questions to the night sky, even though she never expected an answer. One night, when Mia was sprawled across her floor drawing pictures of rocket ships and moonscapes, she had an idea. A wonderful, silly, brave idea. What if she could send a message into space? Not just a message in a bottle, like sailors did, but a message to the whole universe. Maybe, just maybe, someone would hear her. So Mia sat at her window and thought about what to say. She could say hello or how are you? But that didn't seem quite right. Everyone said hello. She wanted something different, something friendly and fun, something that would dance and echo across the stars. Finally she stood up very straight, took a deep breath, and cupped her hands around her mouth. Then, as loud as she could, she called out, "Yoo-hoo." The sound burst out of her, surprising the crickets outside. It zipped up over the fields, wheeled past the rooftops, and flew into the sky, higher and higher. Mia giggled and quickly ducked under her blanket. Her heart tickled in her chest. She wondered just where her Yoo-hoo would go. She imagined it flying through the cold, quiet darkness, past spinning planets, across strange moons, ducking through clouds of glowing purple gas, and even ping-ponging off glittery comets. Now, Mia didn't know this, but something magical happened that night. Her Yoo-hoo really did travel beyond her small town and into the widest universe. And as it traveled, it began to spin into something more than just a sound. It turned into a tiny, sparkling ball of friendly energy, whirling and bouncing off everything it met. The first thing it passed was a lonely satellite named Echo 9, circling the Earth. Echo 9 was feeling a bit bored, listening all day to beeps and signals from mathematicians and scientists. But when Mia's Yoo-hoo zipped by, Echo 9 caught it in one of its shiny metal dishes. Yoo-hoo? Echo 9 wondered. No one had ever said something so friendly to it before. It played the sound over and over, and found itself smiling, even though satellites don't have mouths. Echo 9 sent a cheerful beat back toward Earth, just in case Mia's message could find its way back home. And on flew the Yoo-hoo, spinning higher and farther. It slipped past the moon, where a family of moon mice was having a midnight snack of starlight cheese. When the Yoo-hoo floated by, the littlest mouse pricked up his ears. "Did you hear that?" squeaked the mouse. Someone said Yoo-hoo. The moon mice squeaked back their own tiny yoo-hoos, sending gentle echoes bouncing across the gray, silent craters. The message drifted on, swirling through the rings of Saturn like a child on a slide, and right through the bright tail of a comet racing toward distant stars. As it zoomed by the red dust of Mars, it brushed past a robot busily gathering rocks. The robot paused its work and tilted up one shiny arm. "Yoo-hoo," it repeated in a mechanical voice, delighted for a short break from science. Its camera zoomed in to record the cheerful energy buzzing by, and for a moment, Mars didn't feel quite so lonely. The Yoo-hoo rolled on, unaffected by cold or distance, bouncing from one side of the universe to another. It reached the far edge of our own solar system, where the sun is just another bright dot in a sea of darkness, and it sang its joyful note into the unknown. On and on it went, until one day it came to a place where the stars were so crowded together that darkness almost disappeared. Here lived the star weavers, tiny invisible creatures whose work was braiding light into the sky. They caught the Yoo-hoo and spun it into glowing thread, weaving it through new constellations. From then on, if you looked up at a certain night and caught a star blinking back at you, maybe you saw a smile hidden there. But the Yoo-hoo did not only meet cheerful places. At the edge of the emptiest galaxy, where starlight was thin and cold winds sang through invisible valleys, there lived the loneliest shadow. The shadow drifted in the dark, watching worlds it could never reach. It ached for warmth and for a friend. When Mia's Yoo-hoo reached the shadow, it sounded different than anything the shadow had ever heard. It was warm, with a friendly spark. The shadow caught it in its hands, surprised to discover that it felt lighter, almost hopeful. "What is this?" wondered the shadow. "Is it for me?" The Yoo-hoo danced in the shadow's hands, wrapping it like a green scarf, bright and tickly. The shadow, so used to silence, didn't know what to do. At last, it tried to whisper back, sending out a very small Yoo-hoo that quivered and trembled, unsure if anyone would hear. Back on Earth, Mia's life carried on. She went to school, built forts in the backyard, read about black holes and astronauts. Every so often, she would think about her Yoo-hoo and glance up at the sky, half hoping for an answer. One evening, after a long day, Mia sat quietly by her window. The sun had just slipped below the fields, leaving purple shadows. She snuggled in her blue blanket and gazed at the new stars winking awake. The whole sky looked extra alive, as if listening. "I wonder," Mia thought, "if anyone heard me." And far away, in a sprinkle of time that exists only in stories, the loneliest shadow's tiny reply tumbled back through the universe, much softer and shyer than her shout, but they're all the same. It passed the star weavers, who added a little sparkle to help it on its way. It skipped past the robot on Mars, who felt a tiny vibration in its gears. It brushed by the moon mice, who perked up and squeaked with excitement. It buzzed past Echo 9, whose dish turned eagerly toward Earth one last time. Finally, Mia felt something deep in her heart. Not a sound, not a word, but a tickle, like someone far away was saying, "I heard you, too." She smiled. Could you really send a message into the universe and have it come back? Mia didn't know for sure. But she felt less alone under the enormous sky. From then on, Mia made Yoo-hoo part of her life. Whenever she felt brave, she'd shout Yoo-hoo. Into the wind, into the rain, across fields, and yes, out her window to the high dark sky. Sometimes, other kids in the neighborhood looked up and waved, or sent their own Yoo-hoos back. Grown-ups chuckled and shook their heads, but even they sometimes smiled a little smile, remembering days when they, too, had wanted to be noticed by the universe. Mia kept a special notebook. She filled its pages with drawings of the places she thought her Yoo-hoo might go: purple planets with silver forests, floating jellyfish cities, glowing caves of crystal and song. She wrote stories, too, about friends she hadn't met yet, who might live on the other side of her dreams, staring up at their own night sky and wishing for a friend. She imagined one day that her Yoo-hoo would land beside someone who felt invisible. Someone sitting quietly with their own hopes and worries, just like Mia. Maybe that person would smile, or feel a little braver, knowing someone out there was trying to say hello. And that is the magic of sending a Yoo-hoo into the widest universe. You never know who might need to hear it, or how far it could travel. Sometimes your message might reach a faraway planet or a lonely satellite. Sometimes it might reach a quiet friend just across the street, or your own heart on a cloudy day. Mia noticed that the more she sent out her Yoo-hoo, the more the world seemed to answer back, in small and surprising ways. Sometimes it was a dandelion fluff floating by, winking as it passed. Sometimes it was a songbird tapping her window in the morning. Sometimes it was a tiny star twinkling on a night she felt sad. Sometimes it was a teacher who seemed grumpy, but then smiled at her and said, "Good morning, Mia." And sometimes, on those rarest of nights, she almost felt she could hear the reply echoing, soft and silvery, back down through all the dark space, someone else, somewhere, sending a Yoo-hoo right back. Mia decided to make it her mission not to let anyone feel left out of the universe. She smiled at new kids in class and whispered Yoo-hoo in her mind for anyone who looked sad or quiet. When her little brother was lonely, she called Yoo-hoo in a funny voice until he giggled. She even started a Yoo-hoo club at her school. Anyone who joined promised to share friendly greetings and smiles, no matter what. She wrote a letter to an astronaut, telling them about her Yoo-hoo, and got back a postcard with a picture of a rocket. It read, "I heard your Yoo-hoo all the way up here. Keep sending your wishes." She showed it to everyone she knew, holding the postcard like proof that her voice, even a little kid's voice, could reach the stars. She never stopped believing that messages could matter in the wide universe. Not just big, important messages, but small ones, one kid's voice, one warm greeting, one simple question, is anyone out there? The truth Mia learned is that the universe can be big and mysterious and sometimes quiet, but it is friendlier than we think. Every time someone sends a yoo-hoo, in any way, with any voice, it makes the universe just a bit more connected, a bit more welcoming. Now, you might be wondering, does the universe really listen? Do stars and shadows and satellites care if we say yoo-hoo? Mia would say, yes. Because every message you send changes something, even if you can't see it. Maybe it makes a lonely robot happy for a minute. Maybe it teaches a shadow how to hope. Maybe it wraps around a distant world like a bright scarf and reminds someone they are not alone. And maybe, just maybe, it comes all the way back to you, when you're staring into the deep dark, unsure if what you say matters. So, next time you look up at the sky, or out across a valley, or into the eyes of another person, you might try a yoo-hoo. Yourself. Not always shouting with your mouth, but with your spirit. Maybe that yoo-hoo is just your smile, or a wave, or saying hi to someone who needs a friend. Because in the wide universe, everyone sometimes hopes for a sign that someone else is out there, listening. And sometimes, all we need is to send out our own message, small, simple, true. Yoo-hoo. Here I am. Are you there? If you listen closely, you may discover the universe is answering you in all sorts of ways, through the voice of a friend, the wag of a dog's tail, the shape of a cloud, or a song on the radio. The world likes to whisper back, yoo-hoo, I see you. Mia grew up, as all children do, but she never forgot the lesson of her yoo-hoo. She became someone who always looked for ways to reach out, to connect, to say I see you. In a world that sometimes feels too big or too busy. She remembered to wave to the moon, send messages to the stars, and greet each new person as if they might be the very one whose yoo-hoo she needed to hear. And long after she grew taller than her window and left for new places, the habit stayed with her. Whenever Mia felt alone, or unsure, or wondered if the universe still cared, she would find a quiet place, look up into the wide, deep mystery, and call out, yoo-hoo. Sometimes, the world felt just a little warmer. Sometimes, someone nearby heard her and answered. And sometimes, most special of all, her heart would flutter in reply, as if the universe itself was waving back. So that is the story of one girl's yoo-hoo. In the wide universe. It started as a simple, happy sound, a message flung into the unknown. But in traveling so far and wide, it came back full of hope and wonder, carrying with it threads of laughter and kindness, friendship and bravery, all sewn through the stars. And maybe, right now, as you are listening, you might feel the tickle of a friendly message brushing by. Maybe it is someone you have never met, out there in the wide world, sending you a soft, shining yoo-hoo. Because they are hoping you will hear. Before we say goodbye, I invite you to try your own yoo-hoo. Send out a greeting to the universe, to your neighbors, to your classmates, to anyone who may need to feel a little less alone. You might be surprised how far your sound can travel, and how many hearts it can reach, even the furthest stars, or someone sitting beside you. Because in the end, the best thing we can do in the wide, beautiful universe is to let someone know we are here, and that we care. So put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and get ready. 3, 2, 1, yoo-hoo. Thank you for sharing this adventure with me. May your world always be filled with wonder, connection, and just a little bit of magic. Good night, and yoo-hoo to all of you, wherever you are in the wide universe.